Just like a lot of these other organizations, like the AMA, if you want to push crazy down into the medical field, then you go from the AMA on down. So if you want to push DEI and everything into corporate culture, that's one of the big places you'd want to go.
With the implementation of something like DOGE, I feel like there would be a pretty massive trickle-down effect. And I'm wondering if that wouldn't disrupt the motivations on so many fronts that we might actually see that bring this to a screeching halt.
Renegade Online.
How is SHRM funded?
That's a great question.
Well, I can probably explain most of that. Although it's been a while since I've been around a SHRM function. It was probably 15 years ago. But SHRM is a professional society, just like the American Society of CPAs or the American Medical Association. It's usually funded by members' dues. So, for example, if you're going to be an HR professional, which there are a million of them probably in the United States, they tend to join up with SHRM as a partner resource. They provide CE credits, education, training, all kind of stuff. They provide a lot of support. So, just like a lot of these other organizations, like the AMA, if you want to push crazy down into the medical field, and YouTube doesn't want us to say what that crazy is right now medically, but we all know, then you go from the AMA on down. So if you want to push DEI and everything broad spectrum into corporate culture, SHRM, which is that private organization, that professional organization, that's one of the big places you'd want to go.
So they're lobbyists, basically.
Yeah, they have a lobbying wing for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. There's no way. The reason I'm asking those questions is I'm not as familiar with that, but for me, as I'm processing, knowing how they fund crap, how the government can fund crap through backdoor means, I was like, there's no way that the government doesn't have their fingers in implementing this.
Oh yeah, like I said, SHRM is like the AMA, it's like the American Bar Association, the CPAs. I mean, all those professional organizations that are all over the map for every different profession that you can probably shake a stick at. Yeah. That's where they go to. They go to those top-level organizations for them to push it down to their members. Hey, this is what you really need to start doing. You need to start showing favoritism to this type of person or this type of sexuality or this type of gender identity, because this is what's fairness and this is what the organization is now going to ask its members to get involved with and promote. And there you go.
I wonder, and I would be interested to hear what you guys think about this, not to get like hyper political or whatever, but I'm just kind of curious. With the implementation of something like DOGE, I feel like there would be a pretty massive trickle-down effect by something like that. Like that would, in my opinion, be basically the entire point of something like DOGE, would be this sort of massive deluge of a trickle-down effect. And I'm wondering if that couldn't very much disrupt the whole reasoning or why is it that people even get engaged in this stuff in the first place, if that wouldn't disrupt the motivations on so many fronts that we might actually see that kind of bring this to a screeching halt indirectly, if that makes any sense.
We're seeing I would very much like to see that. I mean, DEI is basically the current year iteration of like Marxist ideology being pushed. They also still have a love for 5-year plans, it seems like, because a lot of these companies are like, oh yeah, we're making this 5-year trajectory for our DEI offices. The Bridge IMAX thing, when you bring it up, is specifically piloted by Campbell's, Sephora, and Colgate Palmolive.
Wow.
That's a bizarre conglomerate.
Wait, Colgate Palmolive. Wait, I thought they were still part of Procter & Gamble.
The big conglomerate that owns Sephora is in the beauty industry for 20 years, or 30 years. But that's Hennessy, Louis Vuitton. There's another one that goes with that too. So that they've got.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
in that as well. There was you were talking about DOGE and kind of coming in and starting to put the brakes on that, and I'm wondering, because I've been kind of thinking that some of these companies that have already started rolling back or repealing completely their DEI policies, it's already started. I'm wondering if they're doing that as preemptive, knowing that either through DOGE or just through, what's going to happen, because Trump has been very vocal about ending this DEI stuff. do y'all think that maybe some of them are doing it to keep out of lawsuits and stuff that could be coming later to keep them in trouble? Or-
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's juicy. That's juicy.
That is exactly correct, and it's actually what Bridge has been advising companies to do since fall of last year. They've said that there's more scrutiny on DEI policies. There's more conservative activists who are noticing what's going on. So what you need to do in order to keep committed to the work is you need to keep doing it. We need to make sure it's less visible. You need to change the language to obfuscate what you're doing. Convince people that you're not doing DEI, but you're still committed to having it in your company, which is part of why Bridge's initiative is to make DEI embedded in the DNA of the company. It is going to be the job of everyone. Get rid of the DEI departments, change the names of the DEI officers, and have everyone working together under the same platform.
And that's the information that really needs to get out there, because there's so many people, particularly on the conservative side, that, you know, I see this with gun law all the time. It's wild to see how some of these things have such correlations to them in the way that they manipulate language and policy and stuff. And they're not so. And you see a lot of conservatives that are celebrating the rollback of DEI as a victory, which is great. Yes. However, they're not getting rid of it. It's kind of like when they say, "Oh, they killed the bill." No, they didn't. They just put that stuff
And it's like I understand people
on the back burner, and they leave it on simmer until they think that they can actually pull it through or rewrite that language and get it passed through something like that. So that does okay.
Most of the
I was
stuff.
kind of, somebody said you were Carrie setting it up. I kind of was setting it up. I knew, but it's to me it's interesting. They don't just do this with DEI or guns. Like this is. People need to pay it. Like this was all part of the bigger. Here we go down the rabbit hole, right? This is all part of the bigger scheme of everything that the Marxist government, the Marxists that want to implement into philosophy is they apply the maneuvers, for lack of a better word, political and language maneuvers and policy maneuvers in a way that they can infiltrate every sort of aspect. It's not just one or the other, they've relied on. See, I'm on it now. I'm cooking now. So so they've taken advantage of the intentionally created social media platforms that have perpetuated short attention spans, so that people just see, oh, they're rolling back DEI. Cool. Now we don't have to worry about that anymore. No, you do. But what's going to happen is when it's applied in a way with different language. You know, as she was saying, as Christian was saying, through Bridge, whatever, right? They're still incorporating this. They're just not telling you how they're doing it. People are going to come back and they're going to be shocked. What do you mean they did that? They got rid of DEI, or no, they didn't. They just figured out how to get it in without you knowing it, because you've now moved on and are distracted by the alleged, Luigi, shooter guy, whatever.
And it's also I understand that people want to celebrate small wins, but when you're dealing with Marxists, subversion is like their playbook.
100%.
You can't celebrate a quote unquote win when they're doing exactly what they told you they'd be doing like 9 months ago. It's not a win. And they directly tell you in these things that Robbie Starbuck has posted, like with Jack Daniels, like with Harley Davidson, like with Lowe's, like with Walmart, like with Microsoft, by the way. Like all of them in their announcements, they're just like, oh yeah, we're not going to report to the Human Rights Commission, but we are committed to DEI. And he's just like, yeah, we're winning. Look, they're getting rid of it. And it's like, no, they literally said they aren't. What do you mean?
Yeah.
And look around you. This country is infinitely more to the left than it was even 10 years ago. And we're just sitting over here celebrating getting a muffin for breakfast that morning because it wasn't gruel, right?
Because
it wasn't
gas
gruel.
dropped $1 a gallon.
Right.
Get your lollipop for getting the COVID vaccine.
Yeah. which is a distraction from what they're really doing, all by design. And so it's unfortunate that that it's easy, and you see I think that a lot of conservative and I'm a conservative leaner for sure. I would say probably more than leaning at this point, not because I've changed, but because they keep moving the goalpost on the other side. But how many of the big names that can actually have influence in getting this information out there just keep perpetuating those hot topics to keep moving it forward instead of trying to continue to educate people behind the scenes, right? They keep moving on to the next topic that's going to get them the interactions or whatever. I mean, I love to shitpost. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I enjoy it. I'm good at it. And I'm, so I get it, but there's got to be a balance between that and continuing to educate people. But, that doesn't get the likes and the clicks, so they don't get paid.
Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.